Welcome back to another episode of Rob Sports Center. As you can see by the title and by the thumbnail, today we're going to be breaking down some film on Deebo Samuel's debut game against the New York Giants. So we're going to jump straight into it. So the very first play, man, they kind of just run like a little simple wide receiver screen. Obviously the goal is to try to get numbers, to try to equate numbers, right? So you got three defenders that's on that side with three receivers. Now you got two receivers that's blocking, and you got one receiver that's going to be the ball carrier. So now it's just up to the receiver to be able to make the right read or able to be able to make the one guy miss. Right here, he just makes the right read in terms of kind of following his block. You see that he got the outside guy. He just kind of bounces that thing outside, which prevents the guy that was the free guy from being able to come downhill and make a play on him. So like I say, when you have Deebo Samuel, these are the type of plays that you can run. Just little simple plays like this to be able to just get the ball to him in space and just let him be able to do what he do. Obviously, we've seen him doing that over the years with the 49ers. Now that's an option that they bring into the Commanders game. And also too, having a guy like this to be able to run these type of plays, it also substitutes for what you may lack in the run game. And obviously we know that that's one of the things that the Commanders haven't necessarily been consistently the best with outside of running with Jaden Daniels. So bringing in Deebo Samuels and having that guy that can just get that you can be able to get the ball in his hands in space and be able to make guys miss. Also too, that negates strong pass rushes too, because you're able to get the ball out your hands pretty quickly. So right here, it looks like the defense is in a cover three. They have a single high safety, and if you look at the snap of the ball, the corners, for one, they already had depth. They was playing off, giving a very soft cushion. But you look at the snap of the ball, they bailed kind of to their deep thirds, which would be typically a spot drop cover three, which is designed to take away the deep options. So you see that they got a two-man concept with Deebo Samuel right here, and they kind of just send the inside receiver. They send him on an out route, and they kind of just send Deebo Samuels on the slant. So I think that this was one of those option routes to where he could have actually stemmed it up the field some more if he wanted to, but he kind of just found the little soft spot in the zone by being cover three. You know, a lot of time that the zones are underneath. So he did a good job at being able to get his eyes back to Jaden Daniels, and Jaden Daniels rolled out just to buy himself a little bit more time, and Deebo just kind of worked upfield a little bit more, and then Jaden Daniels was able to find him for the completion. So right here you have a 2nd and 20. I think the goal was to just try to make this a convertible third down. So they just kind of stick a little to the little safe route and just run a wide receiver screen. Obviously, like I always say, that when you got a guy like Deebo Samuel, you want to try to design plays to be able to just get the ball in his hands and just allow for him to just to be a playmaker like he normally is. And right here they do a good job. Now the Giants actually did a good job at sniffing this out. You see that they got the outside corner, he drives down, and then you got the nickel corner drives down. They just kind of do a good job at Deebo Samuel's working back towards the ball just a little bit more, just to kind of allow those blockers to set up. And it's almost like even if he didn't allow them to set up, he just kind of allowed them to be roadblocks. Like you see when he worked back in right here, he just allowed, because they don't really get the blocks, but he kind of just sets them up to where he can give himself a little bit cushion or something just to be able to work with. But like I say, man, when you have a guy like Deebo, you have that versatility in terms of play calling, because most of the time you looking at a play like this, he's always just one broken tackle away from taking that thing to the house. But like I said, the main goal really was just to try to make this a very convertible third down. So on this play right here, the offensive line did a very good job at just being able to hold up to allow this play to develop. So if you look, you see you got New York. They're in a two-high safety shell on pre-snap. So you see post-snap, they rotate one of the safeties down and they drop the other safety back. So that's a cover one robber, meaning that you show pre-snap, you show two high safety. Post-snap is one high safety. So that safety that drops down, he acts as a robber defender to be able to try to take away exactly what Deebo Samuels did, those crossing routes across the intermediate part of the field. But the offensive line held up just for Deebo to be able to just kind of work a little bit more upfield and just be able to separate away from his defender. And once again, he shows a good job at being able to just track the ball and being able to just kind of make a difficult catch. The ball, like, it kind of was a little bit, I wouldn't say just like it was a little tad bit underthrown, but he just did a good job at being able to readjust and being able to make the catch. And like I always say, that's one of the things that I look at when I'm looking at receivers. I want to see, can you make those catches on the balls that's, typically deemed as uncatchable, a ball that's kind of underthrown, a ball that's overthrown. For one, do you even give the effort to be able to make the catch? But then even if you give the effort, are you able to secure the catch? And to me, that's one of the biggest things that I look at whenever I'm determining whether a receiver, how elite a receiver really is. Right here, you see a little bit more of the versatility you have that Deebo brings to an offense. So you see that they're in a condensed formation, meaning that everything is tight together, everything is congested. So obviously, if you're going up against man, you like to run these formations to try to create those natural pick and rub routes to free up guys. But then if it's in zone, you like to try to create those high-low attacks. So for those who may not know what a high-low attack is, high-low attack is kind of running the same route. It's just at different levels, and it depends on if it's in zone, if the defender, one of the zone defenders, is going to get depth on defending that, or if he's going to stay underneath to take away. So if he gets depth, you take the underneath route. If he comes up to try to take it away, you take the over the top route. But right here, they just kind of simply kind of use Deebo as a check down option. And then, like I said, once again, man, one of the things that Deebo brings to the table for offense is just saying, man, you know what? Hey, if anything else isn't there downfield, let's just get the ball to him in space, and let's allow for him to be able to just be a playmaker and make some guys miss. Because like I said, you're always with Deebo, with a guy like that, you know, we've seen what he's able to do with the ball in his hands. So with a guy like this, man, you're always, you know, one broken tackle away from a very explosive play. So right here, you got a red zone possession. So you once again, you see the creativity of having Deebo Samuels on that offense. So one of the things that I talked about even early on, I briefly touched on it, was the inconsistency that the Commanders had throughout the year running the ball last year. And then I was saying that if you watch my previous Deebo Samuel video, I was just saying that one of the additions of bringing him in is now that you bring in the guy that you can kind of utilize as a running back. Obviously, we've seen him do that at the 49ers. So right here, they just kind of run like, it looks like they just run like a jet sweep. They got the condensed formation once again. Well, actually, it's not a jet sweep. I don't know. I'm not quite sure if they might have motioned him from the slot to get closer to him, or if they might have just lined him up directly in the backfield. More times than not, they probably motioned him just to try to kind of draw confusion on the defense's part. And they just hand the ball off to him, and it's kind of like they run like a little outside zone. You see, it looks like they pulled the left guard. Let's look at that again. It looks like they pulled the left guard to be able to get out the point of attack. So you look at this, right? And this is just good blocking. You got white jerseys all leading the pathway for Deebo. Now, granted, what's one of the things I always talk about too, as a ball carrier. So as a ball carrier, you're judged, in my opinion, on two things. For one, you're judged on can you follow the blocks? Can you make the right reads to try to put yourself in the best possible position to maximize on the yards that you can gain on the play, right? So now once you get out of that, because the offensive line because the blocking up front can only do so much. Now it's up to you. What can you do on your own? And obviously we know that Deebo Samuel is fantastic with the ball in his hands, with just being able to make guys miss. And that's exactly what he does right there. His offensive line did a good job at just kind of leading the way at the point of attack, and then he did a good job at just following those blockers, but then just being able to make guys miss right there. I mean, those were two chances that they had to be able to bring him down, but then he also showcases the strength at the end, not only just the strength, but the balance, and really just the willpower to be like, man, you know what, I will not be denied on this play on getting the end zone. So he just was able to run through some arm tackles, and then being able to just drag a guy for a touchdown. Let's take another look at that again. Run through that tackle right there, run through that tackle, and just drags that guy and was able to convert on the touchdown. Like I said, man, when you get in the red zone, every down in the red zone, in my opinion, is got to have it down, whether it's first down, second down, third down, or fourth down. It's already hard enough as it is to get down there, so you want to make sure that you capitalize on one of the easiest ways on getting into the end zone is running the ball, just because as a quarterback, you don't have to throw into the ugly picture, being that it's so condensed and tight down there that you're going to have a lot of defenders in one area in particular. So just being able to run it in, it just takes away from the difficulty of having to throw down there. But man, like I say, man, I enjoyed the first game with him so far. I mean, he pretty much brought exactly what I said and what I knew he was going to bring to the table. A lot of people kind of were saying that they think that he was over the hill, he was washed. And I was like, nah, man, Deebo still got some good years left. I mean, when you look at the 49ers, they went through a lot of injuries and things of that nature. So it just was I just think that it kind of all affected the offense as a whole, not just necessarily him. But he still had a good year on top of that, you know, outside of the fact that they had so many injuries going on, so much, you know, people holding out and things like that. He still had a good year. So I knew that he would have been a good fit in Commanders, man. But man, if you guys did enjoy this video, do me a big favor, smash that thumbs up button. Also, if you're new to the channel, man, make sure you subscribe. When you subscribe, make sure that you click that notification bell. Make sure that it's turned on, and where you be notified every time I upload. And I'll see y'all in the next video.